Hey, welcome to Geek Speak episode 4, and we appreciate you tuning back in. And if you're new, please subscribe. So, what are we talking about today, brother?
Oh, a few different things. I saw Morbius last night. Have you
I
seen
wanted
it?
to talk to somebody who'd actually seen it,
Right.
but no, I haven't. No.
So, I liked it. I mean, I wouldn't say it was my favorite Marvel Universe movie,
Yeah.
but it was really pretty good in the way they explain things. And
Yeah.
I can't remember the actor's name.
Jay Leto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did an awesome job. And Matt Smith,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm a Doctor Who fan, so to see him back in something,
Yeah.
because I know he's done other stuff, but yeah, he was like the main antagonist, the villain and stuff. But yeah, and I won't spoil the ending, but it kind of went along with the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty good. But yeah, the whole thing was pretty daggone cool, pretty believable. I was like, all right, I can see that.
So that was a Sony production, and not Marvel, I guess,
Oh, okay.
where they left that out. So just like the Venom movies,
Mm-hmm.
and that's interesting because I'd heard horrible things about it, but I personally hadn't seen it. It's funny how you see a movie that a lot of people like, that critics like, and then it's terrible,
Yeah.
and then you go see it and you really
Right.
enjoy it.
I mean, I would probably give it, out of 10, I'd probably give it a 6, and the only reason I don't give it more is, I mean, it ain't like a sit on your edge thriller kind of thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty good. But I also have a fascination with vampires. Loved vampire movies for years.
Yeah. I like werewolves, so it's
There you go.
it's a surprise we get along. Well, I wanted to show and tell. First of all, I've been doing a lot of home improvements around the house.
Okay.
And so I like listening to something, and not always music. And so I started listening to the 1940s radio dramas, the Shadow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Orson Welles did a lot of those.
What lurks in the heart of man? The shadow knows.
So, and I really like them. You know, typically they're 25, 30 minutes, and I can play them and just listen to them while I'm working. And so then that got me interested in the Shadow comics. So Dynamite had come out with the Shadow comics. DC had come out with some earlier, but I thought, well, I'll try these because they were written by Garth Ennis.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a huge Garth Ennis fan. And then so he wrote like the first 6 issues. So that's what I bought, was the first 6 issues. And it wasn't any good. It wasn't any good. I mean, here's the thing. I love Garth Ennis writing.
Okay.
And I love the Shadow. So you think those two things together would be great. But yeah, I didn't care for it all. And I think the lesson there is, that happened to me once before. I'm a big Robert Duvall fan. In fact, Robert Duvall is probably my favorite actor.
All right.
So Bobby Duvall did and I like Hitman movies. So Bobby Duvall finally did a Hitman movie. It was called Assassination Tango. So I'm just hyped. You know, my favorite actor, one of my favorite genres, and that movie was horrible. How does that happen? Two things you love, when they combine them, they just suck. So I've kicked around the idea of maybe trying the old DC Shadow.
Okay.
But I haven't yet.
Now,
You know, but yeah,
didn't Alec Baldwin?
yeah, there was a movie
Did-
once.
did
Yeah,
it.
there was a movie
Yeah.
once, and I remember it. It was one of the earlier. It was one of the earlier superhero movies.
Right.
But I just thought that was odd that I tried to combine two things I really love. But if you like, you know, when I listen to those 1940 radio dramas, I think about, you know, some kids gathered around the radio at a certain time of day, a certain time of week, you know, to listen to that. You know, this is before television, before obviously internet. And I mean, that was their geek fix, you know, listen to those 1940 radio dramas. And so anyway, I thought that was interesting.
That is cool. I always liked the Shadow.
Yeah, I did too. He's an interesting character. As a matter of fact, a lot of people say that the first issue of Batman was really based on the Shadow, and that some of the panels were almost direct copies of some of the Shadow comics that came out. So whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I've heard that accusation. So you got something else?
So I got into a discussion with our other brother.
Yeah.
And
Matthew.
He was asking me it started out, what was your favorite Batmobile?
Yeah.
And of course, my favorite one is either the Michael Keaton Batmobile or the Tumbler.
The Tumbler.
Yeah. Who's the guy?
Christian Bale?
Yeah, Christian Bale.
Oh, yeah.
So either one of those two, because one's like a cool, classic-looking Batmobile.
Yeah,
The other one's more like a tank kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so then we just got on a tangent of talking about all the different types of vehicles. Like, we started out with non-super-powered heroes. Like, I told him that Green Arrow had a vehicle and it was stupid as crap because it was like a giant arrow.
Spider-Man had one.
Yeah, and then we got into talking about Ghost Rider and his motorcycle.
Yeah.
And how vehicles really play a part, not just in comic books, but in like geek things in general. I mean, who doesn't like the DeLorean from Back to the Future, right?
Yeah. And then Green Hornet.
Right. That was one he brought up.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite geek vehicle?
Of all the geek vehicles, I guess probably the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Okay.
Simply because that was just an amazing car. Mm-hmm. And you still see those at Comic Cons today. And that stainless steel body, and it just sits so low to the ground. They try to make it futuristic back in, I guess, the 80s is when they released those.
Right.
And here it is, 2022, and they still look futuristic.
Right.
And boy, I tell you what, if you got one fixed up, that's a high dollar.
Right.
I mean, they usually run for about $100,000. Yeah, they're very rare. So what about? Have you watched Star Trek? Strange New Worlds?
No.
Well, I started watching that because they said they listened to fans, and a lot of fans, most all fans, didn't like Star Trek Discovery. So they tried to make it a more optimistic Star Trek, and so it's ran for about 4 or 5 episodes.
Right.
And it's got Anson Mount as Captain Pike, which was pre-Kirk, and it's leaps and bounds better than Star Trek Discovery, but they still got to do some work on it. But it's actually been better.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were just like excited to see Captain Pike.
Yeah, and I mean Anson Mount, he does good, and the stories are fairly well written, and they're self-contained episodes. So he's one thing they're all making fun of is his hair. He's got like remember Johnny Bravo from that Nicktoons cartoon? Yeah, he's got the big giant wave that comes up. And maybe we're all just jealous because most older men don't have hair that nice.
So are they trying to mimic what was the original Captain Pike's look?
Not really. I mean, Jeffrey Hunter played Captain Pike in the first one, and he doesn't look too far removed, but there's a lot of differences. Old Trek is filmed very bright, lots of bright colors, pastels in the background. Right. Even Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, it was very well lit. For some reason, New Trek is dark. So if we were on New Trek, we would be lit, but everything behind us would be really dark, really dark.
Well, it could be worse. You could have all them flares all over.
Yeah. Lens flare like J.J. Abrams did, but I probably give it a 7 out of 10 so far. So you got something else?
I'm trying to think if there's anything new.
What about The Boys? Have you watched any of those?
No.
So I collected The Boys comics.
Right.
And they're written by Garth Ennis, and they started out in Wildstorm, which is like an offshoot of DC.
Okay.
And to say that they're adult content would probably be
an understatement.
Yeah. So DC's finally like, look, guys, we can't print this. You're going to have to go somewhere else.
Are they going too much?
Well, no, I mean the comic book series has ended, so they left Wildstorm and went to Dynamite, and Dynamite just picked up the next issue. Same art, same writer, Garth Ennis, same artist, Derek Robinson, which is one of our favorite artists. And so the comics were just crazy. So Amazon picks up the rights to the live action series, and they've done three seasons. You've never seen any of them? You would need to see them. Because first of all, Garth Ennis is known for his shock factor.
Okay.
So he just does things, and you're like, how could any human being even think of that? And so, but the bad thing about shocking your audience is you always have to come back and shock them more, or they get numb to it. So you always got to top yourself. Yeah. And so nobody can do that except for Garth Ennis. So like, it's on the 3rd season, and I'm not going to go into details because we try to keep this PG-13. But yeah, some of the stuff I'm just looking at it, just like, how can any human being even come up with that? But the show is, what it is what if superheroes was in the real world? What if Superman really existed? You know, Superman in the comics is a really nice guy. He goes out of his way to help people. He's really a great role model and has been for generations. Their Superman version is called Homelander.
Right. I know.
And
I've read the some of the comics. I own some of the comics.
Yeah. I think I gave them to you for your birthday one time.
I had to keep them in a lockbox so the kids couldn't get to them.
Yeah. You don't want kids getting hold of those. But the thing is that you've heard that power corrupts and ultimate power corrupts ultimately.
Right.
Well, that's kind of the take they take with Homelander. I mean, if there really was somebody that had Superman's powers, really, you couldn't really rein him in. And to be honest with you, he could do what he wanted, and if you tried to rein him in, and if you tried to give him boundaries not to step out of, it would probably just aggravate him. And so it's just so well written, and like I said, it's just, I can't even describe it. But if you are an adult, and if you have Amazon Prime, you need to check out The Boys. It's not for everybody. It's not for the faint of heart. But yeah, it's pretty bizarre. But it does give a realistic view, I think, if superheroes really existed in this world. So that's pretty good. So anything else?
Not offhand.
Okay. Well, you recently had a birthday.
Oh yeah.
And I got you something. I had it professionally wrapped. Which means the girl that I bought it from was getting paid, and she stuck it in this bag. And so that's, when you get paid for doing something, that's professional.
Yeah, right.
So I had a professional wrap. So there you go. Check it out, brother.
Oh, wow. The Joker Endgame.
Yeah, so it's a collection of new Joker stories. And I know you're a huge Batman fan and a huge Joker fan.
Yeah.
So and I know you don't collect modern comics anymore.
Right.
And so so you can sit down and read that, and you can give me a review of it sometime on a Geek Speak coming up. So
I can do that.
And hopefully it'll be good. So you got anything else?
Nothing I can think of.
Okay, I appreciate you guys tuning in.
Tell us who your favorite vehicle is, your favorite geek vehicle.
Yeah, and you guys have a great day. Talk to you later. Thanks.